Hello and welcome to another episode of the Life Capoeira. I'm very pleased to welcome our guest today, Mestra Cocada. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So let's start at the beginning. How did your capoeira journey begin?
Oh man, the beginning. I started capoeira in the 90s. I took my first class of capoeira about 1996, and I was quite young. I was living in California, and then I moved to Arizona, and the year 1998, that's when I officially started training capoeira with the late Mestre Dandi. At the time, he was an instructor, or I think he was an instructor of capoeira, but he was an older American black man from New York, settled down in Arizona, and he started a capoeira school in 1996. He was the first person to do capoeira in the state of Arizona, and I came along in 1998, and I was completely hooked after the first class, and I was officially a student of capoeira in 1998 in Tucson.
And what was it that got you hooked that first lesson?
I think it was well, I'd already had a visual and an experience of what capoeira was because my older brother, he is a professor under Mestre Main. His name is Faísca, and he did performances with Mestre Main all around the country. And at the time when we were living in Arizona, he did a performance in Tempe, Arizona, and that was the first time I actually saw capoeira. I saw the dances of the orishas. I saw makulele. I saw the acrobatics. I saw felt the music, heard the music, and I just intuitively was like, "Oh my God, I am capoeira." Like there was something about it that was like, it just hooked me. And so when I actually had the moment to train in a school, in that time it was at a dance studio called Orts Theater, and it was just a very basic dance studio. And it was just something about the challenge. It was up, it was down, it was continuous movement, and I had done a lot of dance, so I was very familiar with my body and direction. I was only 15 years old, and so I think I just enjoyed the challenge of because you're just feeling it in a physical way. You're not really like understanding that it has ancestral and cultural context. You're just moving with a group of people, and you're being led by a very charismatic leader. So we had a really great time.
And so 25 years later, you got your Mestra record, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. But that 25-year journey, how has that journey been over that 25 years? Has it always stayed in Arizona, or have you had spells with your capoeira elsewhere in the States and beyond?
Yeah, I've had really wonderful experiences with wonderful mestres. A lot of my colleagues and peers, I've spent time going back and forth to Vancouver, where I was fortunate enough to train a little bit with Mestre Barrão, with Ashe Capoeira, and I would spend a significant amount of time here and there going to Capoeira Brazil with Mestre Boneco, and but not like months at a time. They were more like visits where I got to engage and be with the students and the mestre in their day-to-day practice of the art. And of course, living in Tucson, I would go back and forth to the Bay Area and trained with Mestre Accordion, Mestre Suellen, and Mestre Han. And that was definitely very consistent. I was very consistent at going back and forth there and just really enjoying that community. It was wonderful. It was really wonderful. You have a lot of time to reflect when you look at your journey in capoeira and all that has happened, and it's pretty powerful. It's pretty powerful.
I know you still taking the time to reflect on the experience of gaining the title Mestre. It was only in December. What's your initial thoughts and reflections on that event, and how have things changed since, or is it still too early for there to have been much change to see?
Well, I think it takes time to process. It was definitely a big surprise. I'm still processing the change to another level in capoeira. Mestre Accordion decided that I was ready to represent our association at the mestre level. And I'm very honored for that. I've worked very hard for that. I've lived my life the capoeira way, I guess you can say. Capoeira has always been a part of my life. I've always given as much as I can to any children's programs, any place I ever lived. I always taught capoeira within that community. I've taught thousands of children. I've worked with lots of different women's events. And, I've had my little spouts. I've started little groups and then ended those groups, maybe because I was living in a certain location or, changing locations. I've had the honor of teaching classes consistently at Mestra Cocada's school in Berkeley, California, Casa de Cultura. And it's surreal, because the mastery level in my mind when I was growing up in capoeira, it was never something that was really attainable. Like what we reached for was professor. We were like, I'm gonna at least be a professor. And then like you become contramestre and you're like, uh-oh. And then it's like you're mestre and you're like, nothing really changes, but it also does. It's a level that it takes a lot of responsibility. I am American. I am an American born and bred capoeirista. I've spent maybe a month and a half of my life in Brazil. I've always maintained relationships with my Brazilian friends and mestres, and I really hold a lot of responsibility to share the art respectfully and authentically to my best ability. So if I'm not knowing about if I don't know something, I'm not going to try to fake it. It has to be something that is actually I've lived it, I've experienced it, and that's the only way I can really teach something and pass on those traditions and etiquettes and things that have really empowered my life.
And on that topic, you've obviously embraced some Brazilian culture. You're involved with BJJ and Samba and selling acai. Was it capoeira that led you to those other ventures? And how have those things like the Samba, the BJJ, and so on, do they intersect a lot with capoeira? Do you find the capoeira helping them and the Samba and BJJ helping the capoeira? How do they all link together?
Well, capoeira is multifaceted. You learn capoeira, but some people don't realize like you learn capoeira, you might learn to be a really good public speaker. You have to engage, you have to speak to large groups of people when you're teaching and you're conducting yourself in a certain way. You have to learn how to articulate your ideals so that so that it's palatable and understood by the people that are absorbing what you're trying to teach them. Mm, Jiu-jitsu came to me in Tucson actually, and my teachers have not been Brazilian. I have taken classes with Mestre Tabora. He's an amazing black belt, amazing master of capoeira, very passionate person. Um, and I've really enjoyed that experience. I spent a couple of years living in Hawaii on the North Shores where I really immersed myself in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu in the gi with my teacher in Oahu. And then my original teacher here at our gym, we train consistently there as well. And it's quite common that capoeiristas train Jiu Jitsu. So some of my friends that are in capoeira, they're, Brazilian black belt, purple belt, blue belt. And it's really nice. It's a great art. It's one of the arts that has actually made my capoeira better because jiu-jitsu is a very direct art and it kind of helps you not be so scared to get closer. Like if you're in a game where the game is kind of like there might be some opportunities for takedowns or entrances or you are mixing within the art, when you're playing somebody. For me, jujitsu helped me to not be so scared to go in and go out and also remain calm, you know because there's a lot of pressure in jujitsu, and so you have to learn to remain calm and breathe, and it can be overwhelming, but you learn how to pace yourself. So One day I will be a black belt. You know, it takes time. It takes a lot of commitment. It's very hard to train capoeira and jiu-jitsu at the same time. They're very both demanding on the body and the mind. You need to focus when you're training capoeira, but you also need to focus when you're training jiu-jitsu. And it can, sometimes you need time to like let the body settle so that the movement can really go into your system and your mind, and then you can go back at it again the next day or the day after, and so sometimes when you're not giving your body enough time to rest, you could get injured, so that, and then the Brazilian samba is just samba. Samba is, it's just part of capoeira. You know what I mean? It's part of capoeira at the beginning or at the end. Like it's, you're going to be experiencing the samba de roda in some way. And at Mestra Cordion's studio, Casa de Cultura, which is now Capoeira Arts Foundation, CAF, they have, on the off days that Capoeira is not happening, they have Brasa Arte, Brazilian Arts, Brasa Arte, right? And so they bring in a lot of guests from Brazil to teach all of the Brazilian folklore arts. And I really fell in love with that other part of our studio. And so I would take a lot of classes there, make relationships with the director and, the director's mother. She's Conceição. She's unfortunately passed away now. Her daughter Tainá is the director of Brasa Arts, and that's really wonderful. It's really wonderful to train Brazilian samba, but train it. They're very athletic women. It takes a lot of endurance and a lot of strength to do these movements. So every year we bring Ejeli Oliveira from Rio de Janeiro to Tucson. She goes around the United States and Canada, and in my opinion, she's the queen of Rio. But she's an elegant dancer, and she comes to Tucson. She spends about a month, so 2 weeks, sometimes a month with us, and we train a lot of samba. We train a few dances of the orishas, and we talk about the everyday grind that these sambistas experience, and it is quite the grind. They are very, very powerful dancers.
And how have you found capoeira helping in the BJJ when you roll? Obviously, the BJJ has helped you getting closer when you're playing capoeira and be able to stay calm. Has any skills from the Roda sort of transferred into when you roll on the mats?
Absolutely. I mean, capoeira, you're learning how to play. You play. It's just as jujitsu can teach you how to stay calm, like capoeira can teach you how to smile and laugh and be, hey, it's okay. It's not, don't take it so serious, like, and I bring a lot of that playfulness to jujitsu on the mats, like we do thousands of auls, all different kinds of auls. This can help to pass in different positions when you do jujitsu, so it's a, I try to do a cartwheel pass pretty much every game that I roll, because it's just that it's a powerful transition and it's unexpected, because capoeiristas, we know our bodies in different directions. We can go upside down, we can spin, we can flip and then go back the other direction and kick and then go down to the ground and then back. So we're all over the place, and so if anything, the capoeira just kind of teaches me to just have a good time, relax, it's okay, and just kind of transition through the other opponent's body as you are doing these movements, as you're trying to pass guard or take the back or go into side control or to defend a potential submission. Like there's just a playful element that is there, and also a body awareness of, like, we're used to being upside down. Sometimes the game is upside down, we're in handstand, you know what I mean, or some different type of flip. We're able to still see things as we're moving circularly, and I feel like that vision doesn't really exist so much for the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner if they haven't enjoyed capoeira. So yeah, I think that's never quite articulated it like that, but that's at least what I feel.
Sounds fantastic. And how do you look after your body with all these demands of capoeira and BJJ and samba? You talked about them being very demanding. How do you make sure that you're able to to keep on top of that and they don't take their toll?
Well, at this point right now, I have a 5-year-old, and we just kind of, I'm here to enjoy life. I'm here to make sure my daughter has everything she needs. I'm here to make sure that I'm okay and that my soul is fed so I can be a good mother and a partner to my husband and my family. And so sometimes if things have to take a break, they just have to take a break. Like right now, I'm not really training that much jujitsu, you know what I mean? Because I need to be present for my daughter, and I still have Samba gigs here in Tucson. So I pretty much train with a small group of women to make sure that we can still feed our community and perform in these different places that ask us to be present for, whatever it is, a birthday party, corporate party, whatever. And the acai truck is, this is a new venture. This is my first year with our acai business food truck. It's called Purple Tree Truck, and that goes all around Tucson. It goes all around Tucson. We serve at different hospitals. We serve at sororities. We are at hiking trails. We're at farmers markets. We go to birthday parties, corporate parties, and the truck is very busy. So I mean, I would much rather know that like the down season in the winter time is going to be the time where I can really give jujitsu some attention, and then springtime is when we get a lot of gigs for samba and for the truck, and so it's a dance. You know what I mean? It's a dance. Like some months it's going to be more about capoeira, some months it's going to be more about jujitsu, but capoeira is the constant. It is definitely the constant movement, that in my family, so it's going to take more time for me to reach, that black belt, if you will. It's not my focus. I'm enjoying I'm happy to get through every day. Every day that I get to train jujitsu is like 1% I get better. So it's a very long, for me it's going to be a long process, and I'm okay with that, as long as I can still experience it in my life and my body is capable of enduring the demands that, training these arts are. I'm fine with it. I am in no rush at all to get anywhere. I just want to be happy, enjoy my time, enjoy my family, celebrate with my friends and their accomplishments and their lives, and just feel good about the choices that I make and the energy that I bring into each community.
I think that's one of the joys of these sorts of arts like capoeira and BJJ, where there isn't a fixed endpoint. You obviously have your goals of, say, black belts and so on, but there's always places to then take things further. Do you have any goals for your capoeira that you're sort of working towards? You're just sort of taking each day as it comes at the moment.
Yeah, there's definitely goals. I would really, um, at the moment we're looking for a studio space to potentially buy a building or rent out a building to have like a more long-standing capoeira cultural space. That's very challenging here in Tucson, because of the just basic logistics of getting a space. Right now, we're working with a local group called Boys to Men, where we get adolescent youth that don't have a lot of support from their fathers. And so my husband and I are teaming up to teach these kids capoeira and jujitsu. I'll just be doing the fundamentals, like very basic things, basic positions, simple drills and movements, but nothing like really high level at all, because they're kids and they're just experiencing the potential of the art. And but I would love to really focus on having a very thriving kids program. Kids is my bread and butter. I love teaching kids. I really enjoy how they are sponges. They take in a lot, and it's just, that's where you want to start, at the youth. You want to start when they're young, and you want to empower them, because I'm concerned about these generations that have come after me. I'm an 80s baby, so we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have like all, like, we were more natural children. And so I really don't want my kids to think that like life is like a fast, like once I start something, I'm going to learn it really quick. I want to give them the real deal, the authentic, real way of learning things. There's a lot of art in capoeira, like actual physical art that could come in making kashishis, that could come in painting berimbau, painting makulele sticks. I want them to learn about their voice, how they can sing, how they can like really vibrate and internalize some of these rhythms that you learn from the atabaki, from the agogo, from the heku heku, and just really teach them about like the textured things of life, And so I really want to focus on that. And I have a lot of experience working with kids, and I have a lot of ideas. And Tucson is where I'm from, and so it feels good to offer that here in this city. And jujitsu does wonders for kids. Kids, they need to exert all different kinds of emotions. And sometimes they don't get the permission to exert more aggressive emotion. And what better place than to do that on a mat that is controlled in a healthy space, in a safe space where they can learn boundaries, they can learn pressure, they can get out this energy, which you can learn those same things in capoeira too, but capoeira is capoeira and jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu. It's a very different, art, and I'm really excited for that. Not to say that I don't enjoy teaching adults. I do. Adults have they're great. They offer many, many things that are helpful to creating a healthy community. And I just really want to focus on the youth.
Well, good luck.
Thank you. Gonna need it.
The last question I like to ask in the podcast is, what is capoeira?
Oh man, what a question. Um, it's so funny because of course the first thing I do, I'm like, it's everything. Like you literally capoeira es tudo, like you're kind of like, it's literally everything. Capoeira has brought everything that is most sacred to my life. So the tagline that capoeira is everything literally means that. It really has. It's brought my family. It's brought my daughter. My husband has been a capoeirista. My daughter is instinctively, she knows how to play on the atabaki. She knows rhythm very well. Maybe because I played a lot of capoeira music when she was in my belly. And it truly is anything you make of it. There's a lot of books out there that say these things, and when you read those things, you're like, huh, what does that mean? But then you have a journey in capoeira, and you're like, I'm literally experiencing everything through doing capoeira. And I think from the outside, from someone who is just observing capoeira, it looks so effortless, and it looks so romantic and charming and fun and like a party, and it just, you know what I mean, and it is all that, but it is also freedom. It's you can really use capoeira to free yourself from any level of oppression you are feeling emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally. You can find that freedom within training the art. You feel like you don't have a voice, you can sing. If you feel like you need to cry, there's lyrics and stories and songs that can help you think in a way that you wouldn't necessarily. No, and I'm not fluent in Portuguese, but the little bit of Portuguese that I do know, you think about things differently because of the way Portuguese is spoken. So it's everything. It's sacred. It's ancestral, and it's a true gem. So anybody that has the desire to want to try to be a part of capoeira, you're going to have a beautiful journey. You're certainly going to, if you're open to it and you want to commit to it, and you can think for yourself, and you can read all these amazing books. There's so many great amazing books and music, and even DVDs. If you have a DVD player, you can still find really amazing documentaries and movies and all kinds of stuff out there. And you can be inspired. You can be inspired by what you see and what you feel and what you hear. So yeah, capoeira é tudo.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you very much for coming on to the podcast. Are there any closing comments or thoughts you'd like to leave with our listeners?
Just thank you for listening, and what a great opportunity to talk with you, Kung Fu. Thank you for the opportunity. It's always nice to just share a little bit. Hopefully it goes a long way, and keep on the lookout for what's happening here in Tucson, Arizona. We have a really rich past when it comes to capoeira. We've done a lot of really amazing events and have hosted many Grande Mestres in this city. And there's a lot happening here. There's fabulous mestres that are here, and instructors and professors, and everybody's doing really great work. And I really look forward to seeing what's in the future for us here and how we serve our community through Brazilian and Afro-Brazilian arts and the culture. It's been the light of my life. I always say I have an American passport, but I have a Brazilian heart. So that's really how I feel. So thank you, Kung Fu, for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. We'll be linking to Mestra Cocada's social medias and so on in the description below, so you can follow Capoeira in Tucson. And we'll also be linking to the Live Capoeira Live event that we've got on World Book Day, the 7th of March, with Mestre Carlo Alexander, where he'll be reading from his new book, In Search of Mandinga, Encounters Around the World. You can also buy your book at the same time as the tickets for a slight discount there as well. So thank you very much, listeners, for listening. If you'd like to be in touch, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook, and you can always email thelifecapoeira@gmail.com. We're welcoming of all capoeiristas from very beginners all the way up to Grand Mestres. It's be great for you to share your stories. So if you'd like to share yours, then do please get in touch. But until next time, ciao.